Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucha Season 2 Rewatch. Today we watched episodes 19 and 20 of Lucha Underground Season 2, and man, the one match on between these two shows was absolutely exceptional, and we're going to have a lot to say about it. But John, what did you think of these two episodes collectively?
Oh, brother, I thoroughly enjoyed them. I thought we got some great action, some great cinematics, par for the course for Lucha Underground. I'm very excited to be talking about episodes 19 and 20 with you here today.
Absolutely. Before we get into this episode, let's just kind of go through some business first. Obviously, if you guys enjoy Lucha Rewatch and all of the TWitWoW Lucha Underground content, be sure to leave a like on this video. Once the video finishes uploading and processing, you can leave a comment and let us know how you felt about these episodes if you're watching along. And of course, if you always want to be notified when we go live, you can either follow us on Twitter, which is a really solid option, or even better, you can subscribe to the channel. And then once you subscribe, a little bell icon will pop up that you can click, and then it'll pop up saying, hey, do you want to be notified when this channel goes live? You hit the little checkbox, you hit OK, and you're set to go. You'll be getting notifications, I believe, both on your desktop if you have those enabled and on your mobile phone. So we can get that taken care of. If you're interested in all of our other Lucha Underground content, our Lucha Underground Season 1 content has playlists for the reviews and the rewatch. Season 2 has playlists for the reviews and the live reactions, as well as the current rewatch that's going on right now. Be sure to support us on Patreon. Buy a t-shirt if you're interested. Follow us on Twitter, like the Facebook, check out the subreddit. And now we can get into Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 19. And this is the episode that amazing match happened on, but we had a lot of stuff that happened prior to said match. So, of course, we open up with the recap, but then we go right into our first match, Son of Havoc versus Daga.
Yeah, and I thought this was a solid back and forth between these two guys. Son of Havoc, man, when you want to talk about a guy with all the ability, has that amazing crowd connection, I can never stop being impressed with him. He put his athleticism on full display when he was hanging from that ring post and he does that elbow drop, showing off those abs.
Flagpole elbow, yes.
Yeah, I freaking love that dude.
Dude, I love that move, but it's really ridiculous to me that Matt Stryker said something about how, Son of Havoc's unique offense makes him relatable. Excuse me, I can't relate to someone being able to do that, Stryker. Shut your whore mouth.
Yeah, first of all, I am immensely impressed, no doubt about it, but to think that I could relate, I mean, way to make me confront my own inadequacy, Stryker. God. Yeah, they had a great little sequence where Havoc tried for like a baseball slide of sorts. Daga moved out of the way, but Havoc like hung on and he got the second one on the rebound. So really, if you were like new to Son of Havoc, I feel like this is kind of a great exhibition for him. And yeah, Daga brought the fight too. He had some aggressive spots for sure. Towards the end of the match, Cobra Moon does come out, tries to give the assist to Daga, but Son of Havoc, kicks her off. And then Daga does try and capitalize, but he ends up getting gourd bustered. And then Son of Havoc does his gorgeous shooting star press for the 3 count. Before we get into the post-match, partner, was there anything you wanted to say about this match?
I don't think so, man. I don't think that I really have a lot to say. The one big note that I did take was that I thought it was really weird that Matt Stryker called Son of Havoc's flagpole elbow drop relatable. That's a freaky form of human athleticism that barely anybody can relate to. That's like a top 5% of the world athletically might be able to relate to that. But then, Cobra Moon comes out. We get this big sequence with Son of Havoc trying to go for a shooting star. Cobra grabs him by the foot and he kicks her off. Daga tries taking advantage, but gets met with an eventual gourd buster, and then Havoc wins with the shooting star. And I also wanted to point out the camera angle that caught Son of Havoc's shooting star press, the final one that he actually hit, that he won with, was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Son of Havoc, like I said, his athleticism is second to none. Definitely one of my favorite performers in the Temple. I mean, there's so much great talent on the Lucha Underground roster, and you got to see it on display here. In the aftermath, though, Cobra Moon was trying to comfort Daga.
Trying to woo Daga, let's be real.
Yeah, definitely. This was kind of, I guess, her mating process, and Daga wanted none of that. He practically like kicked Cobra Moon away, and he got the hell out of Dodge. Now, personally, I think she's adorable, and I would have been all up in that. But I guess me and Daga have differing tastes. It's cool though. A snake always gets its prey in the end, so we'll see what happens there. But anything you want to say about this post match before we move on?
No, man. The post match was kind of a weird like amalgamation of what the hell is going on right now, and why is Daga being booed for not wanting to get with Cobra Moon when she's like way too forward right now. It was just uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, consent's a thing, people. I know James probably doesn't think so, and he's in chat, but I assure you, it is a thing, and Daga is certainly not giving his consent to Cobra Moon. So with that said, we can move on.
Yeah, so then we got Rey Mysterio training on a punching bag, just kind of beating it up, doing his thing. El Dragon Azteca Jr. shows up and tells Rey, hey man, I found the cage where Dario keeps the monster Matanza. And basically, he wants to kill him. And then Rey says, you know, your mentor, El Dragon Azteca, the original El Dragon Azteca, wouldn't have wanted you seeking revenge. And this actually harkens back to the first issue of the Lucha Underground comic, where it's literally called Peacekeeper. And one of the most prominent lines is, I'd rather be a peacekeeper than a revenge seeker. So that's pretty much Rey Mysterio's character in Lucha Underground, and that's what he's trying to put forward to El Dragon Azteca Jr. here.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and again, we see that dichotomy that I know you and I hit on in our season 2, like Lucha Underground TWitWows, this dichotomy between justice and retribution. And I love that this relationship is very reflective of that dichotomy, because you have Rey Mysterio, the seasoned veteran, and we all know what Rey's disposition has been. It's really not that much different from what he had in WWE. He is the do-gooder. He is the guy that believes in justice. But El Dragon Azteca's like, nah, man, you know, I think vengeance sounds pretty good to me right about now. So they seem like they're about to go at it. But then who cuts in? Prince Puma.
Mind if I cut in?
Apparently Rey did mind, because he says, actually, we're in the middle
Rey
of
was really confrontational here, and I was kind of uncomfortable about it.
I felt like Rey had the right. It's like, you know, Puma, I appreciate that we have a match, but if you couldn't tell, like, we got some drama going on here. But then Puma also, quite rightly in my mind, points out, hey, you guys are my partners tonight, and we're focused on regaining our trios titles, so whatever this is, it does concern me. And, you know, he growls because Rey actually put his hand on Puma. So, you know, even Puma's getting a little like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they just all agree, wait, let's just focus on regaining our trios titles. And then they leave, you know, seemingly in solidarity. But we'll see how that works out for them in their trios titles match, which should be up next, right, partner?
Yeah, man, absolutely. We had our second match of the night, Lucha Trinity, the guys that we just saw in that vignette, versus Worldwide Underground.
Yes, the best trio in Lucha Underground history. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this match. Great back and forth. You know what interaction, though, was the most illuminating to me? And it's weird because I always have a boner for Johnny Mundo, and for good reason. But what I really took note of were the interactions between Jack Evans and Prince Puma. Like, I'd love a match against those two. And I know for many different circumstances that may never happen, but that's definitely a dream match for me in Lucha.
We still have the second half of season 3. It might happen, as doubtful as it may be. That
yeah, hope is for marks. Again, we've been over this, you know. But yeah, I thought their exchange was great. I love that Jack Evans did a 630 to Prince Puma. I popped. I'm like, that was cool as hell. So yeah, their interactions I thought were really great. I loved that Worldwide Underground, when they would each get tagged in, like initially wrestled in the bandana and the sunglasses, but then when the offense became too much, like that stuff just flew off. But I love that they actually committed to the aesthetic, even in ring. I was like, that's amazing. And I know, of course, that this match ultimately does break down, but I forget, was it Azteca that got low blowed because like a referee was distracted? And then we know that Puma and Rey, they're like, come on, ref, didn't you see it? Didn't you see it?
Yeah.
And see, this is what I found to be poetic, because in the preceding cinematic, Puma's all like, oh, you guys gotta get it together, we're a team, this is my business. And yet it's Puma that costs the team this match, because he gets fed up with the bad officiating and like, ref, where are you looking? Because they did it to us to win the titles, and they're doing it again. So he straight up kicks Johnny Mundo in the yam bags. And I would like to point out, using my platform responsibly, that Johnny Mundo was the victim here. Okay? His testicles were utterly compromised. They are the only hope for humanity. If Johnny Mundo's balls get compromised, we are left with offspring like James. Is that what we want? Because if so, we're fucked. Okay? So Puma needs to get his shit together. I could not believe that he would stoop so low to kick a man of such character, of such integrity, of such wisdom, of such strength, right below the belt. I mean, utterly classless, which is why that Johnny Mundo has always been superior to Prince Puma. But it's cool. It's cool. You kick him in the balls, but you know what? Much like Jesus, Johnny Mundo died for this team because they retain their trios championships.
Normally I would feel very argumentative about you saying Johnny Mundo is superior to Prince Puma, but the more I think about it, the more I realize, yeah, you're right.
You heard it
after
here.
all, who won the main event of the first ever episode of Lucha Underground? It sure as hell wasn't Puma.
Johnny Mundo.
That's right. And by the way, Ultima Lucha won. Who won their match? Who lost their match? Let's see.
Johnny Mundo won his match. Prince Puma lost his match.
Yeah, and while Prince Puma was jobbing to death itself, Johnny Mundo was getting rid of the trash out of the temple, getting Alberto Del Bitch Bag gone for life, hopefully.
I am telling you, this man sacrifices so much for that beautiful temple. He really is just like a gift to us all. And unfortunately, his pain wouldn't stop there, because Puma, being just totally out of his mind, super kicks Taya. And I love Worldwide Underground here, because Johnny Mundo's like, you just assaulted a woman! So, there's that kind of sexism there.
Dude, we already kind of know what's going on in Season 3. Could this maybe be the start of some unraveling and maybe some mental unhinging from Puma?
Possibly. Absolutely. And it surprised me when we first saw it, and even seeing it again, like I could totally understand how it would take a lot of people by surprise, because again, in the preceding cinematic, he is the voice of reason. You could see even his temper kind of flare when Ray puts the hand on him, but it's
he
even
literally growled like a freaking big cat, like a literal puma or a jaguar, which is what freaking clan he's in, even though he's supposed to be a puma.
Exactly. And it's weird, because even that notwithstanding, like, to go from that to compromising everything for the whole team still seems like a big leap. So you kind of have to look at it and be like, what is going on with Puma? And then I love Jack Evans, where he's like, you need to control your temper. And then he just quickly leaves. So, yeah, Worldwide Underground. Their shenanigans allow them to shenan again, because they walk away with the Trios Championships. And honestly, I've already put one foot in the grave, so partner, do you have anything you want to add?
What can I possibly add to that? That was incredible.
Yeah, I love Worldwide Underground. But yeah, fun match, and definitely with some narrative developments, both on the side of we've still got heel champions, so who's going to step up and take it from them, and what's going on with Puma. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, then we already see here that this team is just unraveling, if not completely shattered, and we get in our next segment, El Dragon Azteca Jr. doing exactly what Ray told him not to do and trying to kill Matanza. But who shows up but Black Lotus?
Yeah, to stop him. Like, what are you doing? And, they have a little exchange. I can't.
I thought you were going to go into, like, a stand-up comedy bit there. Like, what are you doing? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? But no, you just kind of ended it. Like, I was half expecting you to go full Jerry Springer. Like, what's the deal with airline food?
Yes, that would be Jerry Seinfeld. But Springer, though,
Did I say Springer? I meant Seinfeld, but yeah.
I mean, we can always count on our chat to bring the Jerry Springer, though, so I can understand
Oh
the
yeah,
mix
for
up.
sure. I mean, all the drama between Bullet Club versus the Shield and Stella and Cliff and James, just everyone freaking the hell out down there.
I know. Thank goodness you and I are
I mean,
enlightened human beings.
Stella's trying to run the show. She has explicitly told both of us to shut up at various points during our Prince Puma rants.
Well, you know, I know that Stella is probably a bit sensitive to facts, so I'll try and actually no, I won't, because this is our pulpit, damn it. But yeah, I gotta say, Ashton, back on a serious note, because I honestly can't remember. So this is actually one of the benefits of season 2 rewatch for me. I can't remember how extensive the interactions between El Dragon Azteca Jr. and Black Lotus are, but I really like them. Like that's a dynamic I want to see explored more because of their shared history with the original El Dragon Azteca, you know. And I really like to hear Black Lotus is pretty much saying like, I can't permit you to do what you want to do, and he's just like, oh, how could you do that? He, you know, killed our mentor. He killed El Dragon Azteca, and you know, she's pretty much like, you know, no, that you know, didn't happen, or like El Dragon Azteca isn't as great as you think he is. So like you could really see that divide of El Dragon Azteca Jr. having this one very positive view of his mentor, but yet of course we know Black Lotus has been fed a line by Dario like, oh, he killed your parents, and causing that whole friction. So very interesting seeing this dynamic come into play here. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting to see sort of the mental gymnastics that Black Lotus has to play in order to keep herself convinced that it really was the original El Dragon Azteca that killed her parents. Because if she allows herself for even a modicum of time to accept that, no, Dario Cueto lied to me and it really was Matanza and I killed an innocent man, she'd probably literally lose her mind and her sanity and everything.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's something I really haven't thought about in a while. Is that like, and you know, you and I, we've already kind of seen that in a different medium, because you know, you and I are big like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, and we talk about like how when you get so mentally messed up, or you really invest emotionally and psychologically in a certain thing you believe to be true or whatever, the fracture that could result when you come out on the other side. And yeah, I just gotta wonder what's going to happen to Black Lotus when she does learn the truth, when she knows just really who Dario is and what he's about, which I feel like she does know to a certain level, but not to the full extent, though. So that's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this cinematic, and I've got nothing else to say about it.
Absolutely, but then we get right into our main event of the... Oh, and by the way, speaking of this segment, I forgot to mention the entire time that that Black Lotus and El Dragon Azteca Jr. were kind of fighting it out here, Matanza was freaking the hell out. Like he was, and he was kind of, it was like he was getting off to the fighting, to the violence, almost like his brother Dario. And it worked out well, because then he had a match right following this, the main event of the evening, Cage versus Matanza.
Oh, you know what? Watching this match again, Ashton, I just want to say this little thing, and then I want you actually to do the bulk of the review, because you said when we were just conversing with each other that you appreciated this match more now on the rewatch. The only thing I want to say about this before handing it to you, if this match didn't make you a Cage fan, I don't think you'd ever be a Cage fan, because I just feel like you got to see everything that he does here, and I thought he had really, at this particular time, the best match of his Lucha Underground career for my liking. I adore this title match. I thought it was so good. But again, you came away with a stronger appreciation. So what did you think about it?
Yeah, I love this so much. This was a lot of fun. The whole, you know, no selling sequence in the middle of this match with the German suplexes, and then Matanza finally using that dip on his German to really put Cage down. That was amazing. I love that Cage kind of had to pull out some real full-blown Lucha Libre in this match. It was just wonderful.
Dude, I love that too. I love that he adapted and the commentary made a big deal about it. And see, these are the moments where I actually do like Stryker and feel like he can have a part to play, because he even said, yeah, Dario and Matanza weren't expecting this. This is just Cage's ability. And dude, like, everything about this match to me, they checked off all the boxes. Great in-ring product? Absolutely. Great atmosphere? absolutely, this crowd wanted a Cage win so bad. They were so into everything he did. And I really liked the fight that Cage brought. Like, he got so close. I feel like closer than anybody at this time to beating Matanza. I love the one counter to Wrath of the Gods where he actually cradled him for a near fall. He got the F5, which they're calling the Lucha Destroyer, which, I mean, pick one, Striker, because it's either the F5's Lucha Destroyer or the Steiner Screwdriver is the Lucha Destroyer. Pick one. But regardless, I guess everything Cage does is a Lucha Destroyer in its own right. I love the one sequence where he tries for the discus lariat, Matanza ducks, but then Cage kind of rebounds and then he gets it the second time around. I mean, these guys just did such great stuff here. Dario was freaking out, so he really sold the threat that Cage posed. And yeah, I love how they kind of protect Cage here. Because in the closing moments, you know, he's got the straps coming down. He's popping himself up. He's like, yeah, you know, I got this. He, you know, kicks Matanza one time. He boots him in the head. He's got him rocked. But then he poses to the crowd for that 1 second, you know, because he's such a great technico. And he tries for the discus lariat again, but he gets caught. Wrath of the Gods, 3 count. But man, did he make Matanza work for that win. This was a great match. Again, I adore this title match. I think this is actually my favorite match of Season 2, but I still think there's some great stuff that, of course, we can't talk about yet, but we will be covering in the coming weeks. But yeah, this was a real standout for me. This was beautiful.
Yeah, man, this was so good. So really, Cage was in this freaking zone here. He actually did hit his discus lariat at one point, but Matanza kicked out. He also hit the F5, I think you mentioned that, and Matanza kicked out. And when he got the straps down and he was really ready to put it away with a second discus lariat, he got caught in a Wrath of the Gods.
Yes. Oh, man. I really wanted Cage to win this, too. I remember when we were first watching. Because here's the thing. With a lot of wrestlers, like, I'll support them if I like them unless they're going against my favorites. So when Cage is going against Mundo, I was like, oh, yeah, fuck Cage. Fuck that hapless gorilla. But, you know, just him by himself doing his own thing, I'm like, hell yes, that guy is the future. I love what he does. Like, just the perfect kind of athlete to me. And, yeah, he killed it with Matanza, but Matanza persevered. Oh, by the way, another great moment in this match, that German suplex sequence that Matanza ultimately won because he did the little dip before the German and then just took Cage down. Like, yeah, that was cool because it showed, like, who's going to be worn down first, the machine or the monster. And, yeah, that was, again, this match I feel like did everything. And, you know, with no kind of hardcore stip or anything, it was just a pure in-ring product. And, yeah, they killed it.
Yeah, brother, this was so good. So I'm pretty sure we can move on here, right? Like we didn't get any like post-match anything. It was just Matanza, Wrath of the Gods, 3 count, and then Cueto telling him to hold the title up to make sure everyone knows.
Exactly, yeah. So we can move right into episode 20. How do we open that baby up?
Well, obviously, we opened it up with a recap, but the actual first segment was Dario Cueto's office with Black Lotus, and he informs her that she'll be facing El Dragon Azteca Jr. at Ultima Lucha 2.
Yes, love this. I remember again on our first viewing how hyped you and I were for this, because I feel like the Black Lotus character was one of like the really, I mean, not to say that none of the characters are poorly written, but definitely a character that was protected and shrouded in enigma and stuff like that. So we were finally going to see her in ring, and I remember you and I being really hyped about that. I mean, yeah. We were really cool.
Very hyped. This was kind of one of those moments. And you did say when we were talking about the last episode, you wanted to see more interaction between El Dragon Azteca Jr. and Black Lotus, right?
That's true. And then, yeah, I mean, no more intimate interaction than sharing a ring together. So, yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, the match itself, we'll get around to it in 3 weeks. On the day of Lucha Underground Season 3's return, which is going to be incredible. But yeah, the match ended up getting cut very short. I won't say why for people that haven't watched the full season yet, although I would recommend watching all of Season 2 before joining us back for Lucha Ultima Lucha, or for Lucha Rewatch. Damn, language, words, English. Work harder. But yeah, I would recommend watching season 2 in its entirety, and then during your second viewing is when I would say you should watch Rewatch, because really the first viewing you can just check out our reviews and our live reactions for all your TWitWoW needs. But yeah, so their match ends up getting cut short, but I definitely agree. I'd like to see more interaction between them since their first match did get cut so short at Ultima Lucha Dos.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And to your point, going back full circle with this cinematic, I love that Dario is, still kind of playing that manipulative side, like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm the only one telling you the truth, and, working that angle and everything. So, yeah, he saves his skin for another day. But like you and I were talking about in the preceding episode, I don't know. All truths get illuminated eventually, and sooner or later, Black Lotus is going to know, again, the full extent of Dario Cueto's scumbaggery, so you just got to wonder what that's going to spell for him. But regardless, yeah, very nice opening cinematic. It built anticipation for Ultima Lucha Dos, which I like, and it sets a perfect tone because, Lucha Underground is all about that grit, that violence, that deception, and yeah, just really entertaining cinematic.
Absolutely. And then we get right into what was kind of a match, but really our first in-temple segment of the night. Marty the Moth is being introduced by Melissa Santos, and of course, because he is actually ends up going a little, too far overboard with the creepiness, and she's announcing, and she's Marty the Moth, and then he gets all up in her personal space, and she does this, and tries to shove him away, and he ends up taking the mic out of her hands too. So yeah, he really needs to watch the Personal Space show from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, he really does, because personal space is important. And Melissa Santos consistently has hers violated by Marty the Moth.
What's this personal space? Get out of my personal space. This is my personal space. I got to tell you, I'm not really a big fan of all this skin being up in my personal space.
Marty would do that too, but yeah, he's of course playing with the dog tags, and he's like, kill shot.
And Matt Stryker even made a point about how he could have been wearing a jean jacket and have beer bottles around his fingers, because this is a straight up homage to the Warriors. Are you familiar with that movie?
No.
Oh. There's this moment where there's this dude, I think he was not hiding, but he was sitting in a car, and he had a beer bottle on each of his three fingers, his thumb, his index, and his middle finger. And he was clanging them together like cling, cling, cling. And he was doing this, Warriors, come out to play. It was amazing. But that's pretty much what Marty was doing here. Obviously, it wasn't all the way, but it was a clear homage.
Yeah, and then he's like, unless you've got AWOL. And then he starts hitting himself in the head.
That was such a Joker moment, though, wasn't it? Like, he thinks he is hilarious.
He really does. I mean, granted, if I was sharing a room with him, I'd probably laugh too, mainly because, I enjoy being alive. And yeah, Marty is just so enamored with these dog tags, but then Killshot appears from behind. But see, it's the little moments, because I love this. Marty first gets like that little of surprise on his face, like, oh, what? And he turns around, he sees Killshot, but he smiles, though. I love that. I love that the fear doesn't totally progress like, oh, man, I stepped in it now. No, Marty, this is just one giant game to him, and Killshot has, come to play. So they start having their match, which, I mean, honestly, brother, in hindsight, not really much to say about it, because it devolves into a full-blown fight. We get a double count out, much to the chagrin of the believers, and they let them know, like, their dissatisfaction, because, I mean, come on, this is the place for violence. You're going to have something end in a double count out. But the bigger story here is that Killshot tries to get back his dog tags, and we think that he's going to, because he gets the, the PK on the apron, and, then he grabs the dog tags, but ultimately Marty does take them away again from Killshot, jumping him and whatnot. And then when Killshot tries grabbing him, Marty's like screaming like, no, but then he ends up getting away with the dog tags, and he's like laughing maniacally about it and so happy about his triumph. So double count out finish here. Not much to say about any kind of match, because again, it quickly devolved into a fight, because I mean, Killshot's just running on pure emotion, and Marty's a psychopath. And Marty, leaves with the dog tag. So that's where we're at. What did you think about this?
I mean, yeah, the whole exchange here was so good. I love that Killshot had the freaking dog tags in his hand. He won the fight. He had the dog tags, and then Marty sneaks up from behind and German suplexes him. And I also love that literally as Marty jerked Killshot back for the German suplex, that was the exact moment that Killshot dropped the dog tags. Like they flew out of his hand right at the bottom of the arc of the German. It was great.
Yeah. I really enjoy the interactions between these two. I think it gives you a reason to get emotionally invested in the Killshot character, as if you couldn't get emotionally invested in a guy that pretty much says, "Oh yeah, I'm mentally fine. You know, I fight to forget, and I fight because I can't." You know, like that doesn't tear your fucking insides apart. And then Marty again,
dude, I feel like those two lines are your like character defining lines for Killshot to you.
Absolutely. And you know how much I adore Marty's heel work. I think he's one of the best heels in the business right now. And I'll keep saying it because I still believe it to be true. I mean, the guy just does the psychopathic kind of character so well. And yeah, I just love seeing these two come together. And something tells me this won't be the last we've seen of them, but that is for another installment of Lucha Rewatch. For now, we can move on.
Up next, we had Mr. Cisco in an interrogation room, handcuffed to the table. We find out that Captain Vasquez wants him to wear a wire because he is closer to Dario Cueto than anyone else. Cueto trusts him, and I love, too, that Cisco is like, yeah, but he shouldn't. I introduced him to a rat cop that I thought was my friend. Oh, God. It's just another knife to the heart of Cortez Castro. But when she asks him to wear a wire, he says, hell no. And she says, fine, then you can rot in jail. And then they're all walking away, and he goes, wait, what do you want to get Cueto for anyway? And she goes through the laundry list of shit that he's done with the money laundering. And, of course, you can't forget the murder and all that stuff. And then she also tacks on the fact that she thinks that Dario Cueto is the linchpin to the end of days.
You know, I know that was a really big revelation. God, there's something I want to say about this, but I don't know if I should or not. Oh my God, this cinematic. All right, no, you know what? I'm gonna bite my tongue for now because I don't want to give away too much.
Why would you do that? No, don't bite your tongue.
Okay, maybe I could frame it like this without giving too much away. So, like, they want Cisco to wear a wire, right? But like, you could see, and I noticed it's the weird things that I pick up on, I guess, watching this stuff over again. Because watching him, he is just pouring sweat on his face being in that. Like, this is a guy that does not respond well to pressure at all, and you want him to wear a fucking wire? Like, what?
You know, I feel like the old, let's just attach the wire to the chest under the shirt technique is really dated and should probably not be a thing anymore. Like, let's be real. There are advanced enough microphone technologies these days that you could shove it up his ass and he would never get found out and you could still hear everything, including his farts.
But see, though, dude, isn't that so, like, just the wire to the chest, so quintessentially El Rey? Because, like, they do all the old movies and everything, but, like, they have a coolness with their datedness. And yet here I'm just like, you really want to put a wire on this motherfucker. Yeah, you guys are excellent cops. GG.
Like,
I don't know.
Honestly, I know this is a little extreme, but, like, put the wire next to his dick. Put it somewhere that Cueto isn't going to look for it. Don't put it right on his chest.
Yeah, because you know that Dario is the type of guy where, like, if you put a wire by Cisco's dick, his internal struggle would be, I have a feeling I'm going to be exposed. But if I look where I think it is, my masculinity will be compromised. Decisions. Like, I don't know.
No,
man.
but that's the thing, though. Like, Cisco could be all like awkward and like, oh, Mr. Cueto, whatever you want to do, buddy, I'm in. And then Cueto would be like, are you wearing a wire? And he'd be like, what? No, what do you mean? I'm not wearing a wire. And then Cueto would rip off his shirt and see nothing and be like, oh, well, you've earned my trust again because you're not actually wearing a wire where I expected it.
Oh my God, that shouldn't have been as funny as it was to me, but you had me dying over here. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure when we, talk about it, look, I'm sure Cisco wearing a wire in the most dated fashion whatsoever isn't going to have any repercussions at all. I'm sure
Oh
it
no,
is
of
going to
course
be
not. I just
perfectly
want to
fine.
remind our Lucha Underground audience that Red Bull gives you wings.
And I'm actually amazed we were able to have this discourse without any spoilers, particularly for me, because you're always so amazing about it. I was more worried about myself, but I think we did pretty well. So, yeah, this cinematic was great, and we know now, as we always knew, that Dario is a pimp of just destruction and violence. So, yeah.
What the hell are you doing to me, man?
Pull it together, man. We only have a little bit more to talk about. But yeah, the lead to the end of days.
Oh my god, yeah. So, you say we have a little bit more to talk about. We actually have 2 matches left and no cinematic segments. So we're actually, once we get through this, we're through with the cinematic stuff, which is unfortunate because that's my favorite part of Lucha Underground. But we have 2 excellent matches left to talk about.
Yes, and now wasn't the first match we were talking about, because I know what the main event was, but wasn't the first one before that the nunchucks match?
Yes, sir.
What'd you think about this, brother?
This was so entertaining. It's almost not even fair. Like, Jack Evans is a freaking wonder of the world. He is a national treasure.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, watching Jack Evans' stuff over again, I still think, and really, to be fair, I think this guy could achieve like unprecedented heights in Lucha Underground, either as a Rudo or a Technico, but I think especially as a Technico, he has got a charisma to me where like the people would instantly gravitate to him, and he'd be a fan favorite overnight. So it's just something I've really been stuck on watching his older work here. But yeah, this match was so much fun. I love that Jack Evans is like, Jack, the Dragon Slayer, Evans! And then he looks at Melissa, that's how
it's done.
Well, excuse me, motherfucker. But yeah, we have this tag match. And dude, here's the thing. Normally when you see matches like this done, I mean, I can't speak for you or anybody in chat, but for me, it always comes with a bit of like apprehensiveness. Like, okay, we're doing this, but is it going to be good? And with Lucha Underground anymore, like any gimmick match they come up with, I always await with anticipation now, because that's just a consequence of when you've earned a consumer's trust. And so when I knew they were doing this, I'm like, okay, well, let's see how they can push the boundaries of it. And I thought they did incredibly well with this. I like that PJ and Jack, I feel like they were the first team to get the nunchucks. And then when Jack's using them, like, he's so proud of himself. Like, oh, you know, and PJ's like, first he's holding Drago, and then he gets hit in the ribs, and then Aerostar, you know, the same way. Not too long after that, though, the match really begins to devolve into just like a crazy fight here. Aerostar and Drago jumping off high platforms, you know, into the crowd onto these guys. Aerostar jumping off the building of like Dario's office onto these guys in a crossbody in a sick visual.
Dude, that was one of the best moments of this match, too, because remember, Jack Evans had the nunchucks, and he tried to do like a dive, I think, on Aerostar. Aerostar caught him, knocked the nunchucks out of his hands, and Aerostar got the nunchucks. And then Jack Evans tried to escape by literally jumping off the office, but then he was hanging onto the ledge, and Aerostar goes to hit one of his hands, and he moves it. And then he goes to hit the other hand, and then he moves it. And then he holds the nunchucks, one in each hand, and it goes to hit Jack Evans, both of his hands, and Jack drops off right onto PJ Black. And then as they're recovering, that was when Aerostar did his dive.
Yeah, dude, that whole sequence where Jack Evans was protecting his hands, I thought was so well done. And then he's just like, oh, fuck this. I can't keep this up. And he just
Jack's
drops on
got great comedy chops.
He really, and see, dude, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you've got comedy chops.
It would have been really interesting, though, because I know Jack has the upper body strength to do this. It would have been hilarious to me if Aerostar went to like slam the double nunchuck down on Jack's hands, and Jack pulled himself up and lifted his hands up at the point that Aerostar would have hit the ground, and then grabbed back onto the ledge.
Yeah, that would have been
a crazy stunt, and I think Jack has the ability to do it, because he just, I don't really know if there are any stunts that he doesn't have the ability to do.
I'm telling you, man, like in this day and age of pro wrestling, because you and I have talked about, I think you may have even made a point like on the latest New Japan, live reactions we did. Like the climate in wrestling now, the people like Ricochet, Ospreay, all of them, like they are the current standard in this industry. They're what people are consuming like hotcakes, you know, those matches. And yet Jack Evans, not saying that Ospreay and Ricochet don't, for the record, I'm just saying that Jack Evans personally really does have that perfect synthesis of personality with a great in-ring product, and that's how you make a star in this industry. So yeah, I think his best work in LU is still ahead of him. Unfortunately, this night wasn't too kind to him because he ends up getting misted by Drago, and then Drago gets
and it was another amazing camera angle too, because Drago literally did the mist into one of the cameras, and it just so happened that Jack Evans' face was in the way in the process.
Yeah, that was great. I love the camera work on this because you really, again, got to see the mist right in the face, you know, and that was really awesome. And then the Dragon's Tail pinning combination, I still love it. I still think it's a cool as hell sequence. And yeah, Drago and Aerostar, they do get the victory. Really fun tag team match here.
Absolutely, yeah. This was a great match. So then we got our third and final match of the night, and it was a cluster, brother. It was a 6-on-6 tag team match, and I'm going to run down the participants real quick. On one side, we had Prince Puma, The Mac, Sexy Star, Tejano, Son of Havoc, and Rey Mysterio Jr., and on the other side, we had Phoenix, Ivelisse, King Cuerno, Taya, Johnny Mundo, and who was supposed to be Chavo Guerrero Jr., but it ended up being not so much him.
Oh, my God. Oh, you know, I'm really beginning to think that the whole Johnny Scumbag character, like I've been in it a little too long, and it's starting to give me legitimate psychological issues, because watching this over again, I was laughing my ass off the whole time. And like I was eagerly licking my lips for like the fate of Chavo, because just to walk you all through it, Chavo makes his entrance looking like a little bitch, and then Pentagon with his wheelchair, you know, rolls up. Chavo, you are the only one that helped me. You were the only one that was there for me, you know, cared about me. Thank you. And then, like, we were laughing about the first time we watched it. Chavo's like, yeah, man, you know, no problem. Look, I got this match. We'll talk later, okay? And then Pentagon's like, but, Chavo, now I will destroy you. And Chavo, which is probably the most hilarious part of the whole thing, has no self-awareness whatsoever of his track record. So he's like, oh no, I could shut this down. No, you can't actually, because Pentagon hands him his ass. And then when he's got the arm to break it, I'm just like, yes. And then he breaks it. And I swear, the screams that emit from Chavo's throat, better than any symphony. I mean, just magnificent. So, yeah, Chavo gets utterly destroyed. And long story short here, Dario comes out, asks the fans if they want Pentagon to, like, take his place. Of course it's a resounding yes. Asks Pentagon how he feels about it. And he says, you know, I'll do it, but Dario, you better remember one thing. I am, you know, Pentagon, and I have zero fear. So, yeah, Pentagon takes his place. What'd you think of the actual match here, man?
Yeah, the match was a lot of fun. I honestly, this is the third best match of the night, or of these two episodes combined, because I would put Cage Matanza at 1 and then the Nunchuck match at 2. Then this was solid. This really, I think what was so cool about this was that we got to see a lot of interactions that we aren't really used to. Like, we got to see, for example, this was one of the first times that we got to see, and actually this might be the only time that I can remember that we got to see Ivelisse and Son of Havoc go one-on-one for a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really like the dynamics at work in this match. I love that it was like
you got to see King Cuerno and Johnny Mundo double team someone.
I know, right, dude? King Cuerno, though. I'm telling you, I see him interact with people that I know, like, he's never had a one-on-one match with, and I don't mean that to be, like, spoilery. It's just, matter of fact. And I'm like, yeah, I want you to have a match with this guy, this guy, this guy. King Cuerno is just next level. Like, I mean, you saw it in him from the beginning. Took me a little while longer, but now that we both see it, I'm like, yeah, that guy is a fucking asset to the temple. And I hope he gets his due one of these days as well, because he's just magnificent. Love the dynamic again with the whole tag team structure, because people that just don't like each other, like Taya and Ivelisse, for example, have to coexist for the greater good, that being a shot at Ultima Lucha Dos for the Lucha Underground Championship. And yeah, this match really broke down. Of course, we see everybody doing crazy shit. I mean, Puma is just magnificent, so he's always going to bring his A game. Johnny Mundo is just brilliant. So yeah, everybody gets their shit in, but the ending sequence, oh my god, the ending sequence, just one of the many reasons why it feels so damn good to be a Johnny Mundo fan, because really everything is breaking down. Ray is trying to take it to Johnny Mundo, and Puma is perched on the top rope. Johnny Mundo kicks Rey Mysterio in the head, kicks Mysterio into Puma, then with Ray disoriented, Mundo does a flash kick. Keep in mind, this is all Mundo by himself. Does a flash kick to Ray, takes Ray out, then scales the top rope, avalanche Spanish fly to Puma, and Johnny Mundo pins his number one adversary, Prince Puma, to get one step closer to a world title shot at Ultima Lucha Dos. Can we all just agree that Johnny Mundo is magnificent? I don't really think that's up for dispute anymore, is it? So
Was it ever?
Was it ever? I mean,
Was
really,
ever?
I guess James kind of called it into question, but he's severely oxygen deprived, so that was to be expected. So, yeah, anybody that actually, has a modicum of thought working in their head would certainly know that Johnny Mundo is the best, and everybody else, I mean, they're good, but they're just not Johnny Mundo. So, yeah, and he even knows it, because as he's celebrating with Taya, he flashes that $1 million smile, and he mouths like, it's all about me, which, clearly an Emma fan, so great taste. Or is Emma a Johnny Mundo fan? Either way, it works. And then, yeah, the heel team just celebrates because they are all so wonderful. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
No, I don't think I do, man. I think this was a lot of fun. Like I said, my third best match between these two shows, so definitely in the upper echelon, but not quite as good as the Nunchuck match, or of course the absolutely wonderful Hansa match. But still solid, still a solid, fun match. And I know for a fact now that we've got 6 to survive next week, which is actually a one match, one show kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. And then since you got nothing to say about this, we can go into our closing cinematic. We go to King Cuerno's kind of a trophy room, and we see that Katrina, almost had a brain fart there, shows up like this puff of like red smoke and stuff, and she's like, "Death waits for no one. Rise again, mil muertes." And she raises like the stone, and you could see like him waking up with like these red eyes, and he's like, "Ah!" And he bangs his head against the glass, shattering it. And then the image of like his face, like still in that encasing, but with the glass shattered, goosebumps. I'm like, oh fuck, Cuerno, you are in for it now. So,
Yeah.
what'd you think about this cinematic, man?
I mean, yeah, that was freaking awesome. Just the imagery was Mill with the red eyes is always going to catch your attention. It was awesome. So yeah, I mean, really has got to be getting sick of this by now, because she's already revived him, and it was planned before, but she didn't think he was going to lose this time. So this was completely improvised. She did not expect to have to do this. And you've got to imagine her rope is reaching its end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many times am I going to have to, resuscitate your ass, in the spiritual sense? And, yeah, I completely agree. But she did do it here, and we see, this Mil Muertes looking just fierce and totally reinvigorated and wanting to kill somebody, which should terrify anybody with a pulse. And I love, again, that image of Muertes almost kind of looking at you after having like emancipated himself, you know, with the new glowing eyes. So yeah, great final image to round out episode 20. And that's pretty much it. That's Lucha Rewatch for this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, oh man, this was so good. I won't say this was as good as last week, because I feel like last week was exceptional and the week before that, but Lucha Underground just always delivers. So like, grade this. I feel like most of our episodes of Lucha Underground are between like an A- and an A+. Like, they're all really good. This would be a B+ episode to me. Like, this was still really good, but it was below the average Lucha Underground episode to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the terrifying thing is, like, if a B+ is below our average, like, you know it's just an exceptional fucking product. So yeah, great stuff here. And yeah, that's it. So partner, you can take us home.
All right. Well, really don't have that much to say. We already kind of talked about everything in the description earlier. Make sure to check that out if you're interested in previous Lucha Underground content that we've put out. Be sure to support Lucha Underground, and if you're interested in supporting TWitWoW, you can donate to our Patreon. We are currently attempting to reach a $200 a month community goal in an effort to live react to Raw, because it's just such a disaster. It would be like watching one of those famous reactors doing like a try not to cringe challenge or some shit like that. And believe me, we would fail consistently every week, but it would be entertaining. So hopefully you guys are interested in that. Of course, if you're interested in physically repping TWitWoW and or the Scum Squad, we do have t-shirts available on Teespring, and that's also available in the description. Follow us both on Twitter, like the Facebook page, and check out the subreddit if you're into that kind of thing. Otherwise, though, hopefully you guys are as interested in NXT tonight as you were in this Lucha Rewatch, because we will be reviewing NXT tonight. And we'll see you all guys and ladies. I know we've got a few females in chat right now. We'll see everyone at NXT tonight for TWitWoW, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay tuned.